Hey, I'm Matt Hudgens, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
I am doing good. I was going to jump right into this. So, episode 129, The Balanced Entrepreneur. The Balanced Entrepreneur, The Balanced Entrepreneurial Life. I just spent all day at a funeral with my father, my 80-year-old dad, and it was his cousin. But his cousin was kind of more like his brother in the sense that he'd come and spend a month every summer to stay with his cousin and his cousin's brother. And they had a sister. Anyway, it was like 5 or 6 of them, all cousins, and they spent all, so it's like his brother. Anyway, so then you get all philosophical, right? Here we are at the beginning of summer, and it gets all philosophical. So we talk about, this was a wonderful man and all the things he had done in his life, and he led a very balanced life, right? A very balanced entrepreneurial type life.
He's got to be a pretty good guy because I can't think of anybody that I'd want to spend a month at my house. So if you have somebody that's that good of a friend, that's pretty good, I would say.
That's pretty good.
So,
and we've talked about some of these things before in the past from different people, right? So let's start out with Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, right? He says there are 4 freedoms: the freedom of time, money, relationship, and purpose. And that's kind of what we're all looking for. Zig Ziglar has something called the Wheel of Life. Here are the areas that you can focus on: mental, career, personal, financial, physical, family, social, and spiritual, right? And then there anything in between. Oh, Dean Jackson has one he calls "I Know I'm Successful When." I think that was on a podcast, or maybe he's done a blog post, or probably both. I know I'm successful when. So he has this criteria that he wakes up, and I know I'm successful when I can wake up and do whatever I want. I know that I'm successful when my, business income exceeds my personal lifestyle, right? And he has these kind of criteria. And so I guess it's almost a reflective, whatever your criteria are, so tell us what your criteria would be.
well, I mean, I think it falls into, there's always the time, but you're breaking these down. How you break down your time is, in money or work, your work life, money, how you earn money, your relationships, that can be friends and family, your purpose or your spiritual journey, if you will, and then your health. You got to have your health, and then your mind. And so,
Yes.
What are you doing to keep yourself sharp, to stay abreast of, like you're in the financial world. I'm sure you read about the markets and other things all the time. You got to keep your mind sharp. I listen to audibles all the time. I read books all the time. I've got probably 15 books, different books sitting right here that I go back and reference on a regular basis. I've got like Think and Grow Rich here, and it's all beat up and highlighted, and I go back.
Is that something you read once a year, Think and Grow Rich? Twice a year? What do you think?
I usually just read what I highlighted in the book, and then sometimes it'll, so I have a lot of different, like I read this almost every year, The Art of War, Sun Tzu. I've got different books that, but I go back and reference because I'm like trying to remember. So, but you've got these areas of life. And what normally happens is if you really, I think it's Garrett J. White. He's mostly focused on helping men with their life. And I think he does it like a grading system of like 1 to 5, and 5 being like, and you grade yourself in these areas every single day. Okay. And so like if you've given yourself a 5 in money, can you get a 5? And you're supposed to try to, like, by the end of the week. So if the total score is 25 points a day that you could get by the end of the week, you've got 175 total points. You want to be at like 90% of those in all categories, which is very hard as an entrepreneur. Think about like how many times you bury yourself in your work. How does that work out on your relationships?
Right.
How does it work out on your health? Do you, like I've been really getting back into exercising every day because we were, at the end of last year, it seemed like we were rehabbing 2 properties. And before long, I got in a bad habit of not exercising every day. And and so that it's funny how quickly you can get off track. And so really success, the balanced entrepreneur, is really, I think, honest about your habits. It starts there, I think, in honesty about habits, because if you have a habit of like coming home and not paying attention to your family or whatever, that's a habit. I mean,
well, so you're saying some things in a funny thought. There's this terrible movie called Vanilla Sky. It's a Tom Cruise movie, Vanilla Sky. Crazy movie. But at the end, it's really funny. Yeah, actually, the very last scene is really good. Actually, so go Google like the last scene of Vanilla Sky. And it's very philosophical. He's dying, but he gets to start over or something like that. Anyway, it's a complex. But what he says is, hey, do you remember what you told me one time? Every moment is a moment to turn it all around. Every moment is a moment to turn it all around. That's kind of what you're talking about with your whatever white guy, right? Which was, all right, we got these categories, and here I am going to this funeral. It's how am I doing today? And unless I'm conscious of that and measuring it or being observant of it about myself, how would I know that I need to improve it, right? So if those are your 5 areas, let's look like health. I need to get healthier. I've gotten out of some bad habits, right? Family-wise, I need to do some stuff. My wife and I, we're going to do, at our club, there's pickleball on every other Friday nights. It's like, they call it dinks and drinks, right? So it's, you go play pickleball and you have drinks and social with other, presumably couples. I mean, anybody can play. That's fun social, right? Going to dinner with friends, fun social, family, having little, Sunday family dinner with my girls or my parents or her parents. But unless you're being conscious or aware of it, every minute is a minute to change it all around.
Yeah.
But you got to be paying attention.
And if you're not paying attention, what happens is years of your life go by and you can miss sections of like, I mean, I think of when I was traveling a lot between really about 2008 through about 2015, I was traveling a lot and I missed a lot of time with my kids. And I think about that a lot. My wife is always like, do you realize some of the vacations we took? But the reality was, if I was grading myself daily on a 1 to 5 in the family relationships and friendship relationships, I probably would not have rated myself very high. And this is why I think Tony Robbins says it this way. If life is worth living, it's worth measuring.
Okay.
Because when you measure, you become accountable to your own measuring stick, if you will. And so, and if you're rating yourself on money, if you don't have all the money you want, well, how are you rating yourself? Are you accountable to, did you make enough sales calls today? Did you, are you running in too many directions and not, I mean, sometimes I get that, squirrel syndrome, shiny object syndrome. How about your purpose? Are you, what is your purpose? Do you know your purpose?
Which can change too, by the way. It can change.
That could be, your spiritual journey, which I think kind of falls into it, working with your mind. But some people, I've had salespeople on staff that I'm like, do you read any books? And they're like, no. I'm like, do you listen to any Audible? No. What do you listen? I listen to sports radio all the time. And I'm like, well, how is that expanding your mind?
Right. That's a really good one. Yeah. Your mental.
I mean, if you're not mentally challenging yourself, or how can I say this? If we're the product of other people's programming, where are you getting the programming? I mean, who's programming your mind? Is it ESPN? Is that where you want to be programmed? I mean,
right.
I mean, you, at least with a book or an Audible, you control the program. It doesn't mean you'll agree with everything in a book. I read books all the time, things that I don't necessarily agree with. But there are a lot of things I do agree with. There are some marketers out there that I think are just scam artists, even though they're enormously successful. I think of one right now that is, I was in their Facebook group and I was like, dude, I mean, these guys are just, they're scamming. And so, but I was open to like learning from them for a period of time. And so that's part of mine. So let's move on. So how do you find balance in these areas? That's what this is about. How to find balance as an entrepreneur in these areas of life. So what's the first thing? I think we already said it, which is measure.
Yeah, measured. And where are you today, right? And so then we always back to my question, I always like, what's working and what isn't working, and brainstorm ideas for improvement. Those are my three questions for any category. So you would say health. Hey, I'm probably not as healthy as I want to be right now, right? Is that weight? Is that physical fitness? Is that just activity level, right? And you could say, what's working? I like to go. We got a new dog back in December. I like to walk the dog, right? I like to play golf. Those are what's working. What's not working, I'm probably not doing enough of either. I've been injured. I've been hurt. I've been going to physical therapy for 3, 4, 5 months now. Starting to feel better. So maybe it's time to start picking up those activities, right? Uh, as you get older, we need to do weight resistance as opposed to just aerobic type stuff. So now you need to add that kind of into my routine, right? So you would say, how's it working? And then, what's working, what isn't working, and then brainstorm ideas for improvement. And then it'd be like you were saying, whether we monitor that every day or every week, we probably need to measure it or at least be cognizant of it, right? And then with that, last thing we always talk about, anytime you measure yourself, I think Dan Sullivan calls staying out of the gap. You didn't exercise 7 days this week. Yeah, but you did exercise 5, which beats the heck out of not doing anything, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
You measure yourself about where you were before. I think another saying, which I love to hear all the time, is it's about progress, not perfection. So you were active 5 days out of 7. That's great. That's progress, right? You're moving in the right direction for health. But I would say you have those same things on we talked about, my wife and I just told you, we're trying to do more social things, right? We're coming out of COVID, and you've been kind of antisocial for a year and all this stuff. So now we're trying to get more social again, right? So the social for us might be that I told you the pickleball and drinks at the club, right? There's something to going to dinner with friends. We're probably ready to do cookout with friends, those type activities, but you're gonna have to make a point to do them, right? If you don't schedule next Friday going to the dinks and drinks, then Friday shows up and you got no plans, right? So you got to have a little time in advance to say, all right, let's plan this thing. Or I might want to go to dinner with the Mulvaney's, but if I didn't ask you earlier in the week, you already got plans on Friday night, right?
So I just got done with this book called $1 Million Habits by Robert Ringer. And in the book, Robert Ringer, he talks about these lies we'll tell ourselves. And so if you're not, this is again, if you have these areas of life and you're not recording it, what you'll, like, if you don't have a goal that says, I'm going to exercise 6 days a week or 7 days a week, it doesn't have to be whatever. I mean, you say, I'm going to do I'm going to sweat 7 days a week. That's it. I'm going to at least one time during the day, I'm going to make sure that I sweat, whatever it is. Then if you're not measuring it, you'll tell yourself little lies, and the little lies, can happen with ice cream at, and I brought up ice cream because I know how much you love it, but I love it too.
Right.
And so, you start telling yourself little lies. And so, when you look at health, you're like, it's not just exercise. You can exercise your butt off, but if you eat crappy, it's not good for your health either. So health could be broken down into 2 categories. How did I eat? And so the habits are, if I measure it, I become accountable to it. And so that accountability, I think, is what gives us balance. And, you don't want to be too, like you said, hard on yourself, but you've got to have a balance. And the only way I think to have balance is you've got to measure these things. You can't just go through life. Why do most, when people retire, a lot of people die within 3 years of retirement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why does that happen? This
that's right up my alley, right? So my parents are the 2 best examples that I use all the time. So in financial services, we talk about, and Dan Sullivan talks about that too. Dan Sullivan has this concept, and I adopted it too, retire in your business as opposed to retiring. Retiring means kind of like you put out to pasture, right? You're done. Retirement in your business, I think there's another guy who does that as well, suggest. This means you're still working, but you're doing the stuff you want to do, so it doesn't feel like work because it's fun. It's the stuff you like to do. And so you look at both my parents are retired, 80 years old. Maybe it's 80 and 78, my mom. And it was like, You know, my dad is super active. He's having a great retirement. He's 80 years old. He's got the old man's car club. This is what he calls it. The old man's car club. You know, they meet Saturdays for coffee, would take their old timey cars up there and, you know, talk about old cars, right? He's got the old timey old man's motorcycle club. I don't know how often he does that, you know, once a month, twice a month. And these guys, motorcycles and coffee and talk about those kind of things, right? He's going to a car show this weekend up in Highlands, North Carolina, you know, taking his 68 Firebird up there that he's restored, and you just go sit around all day Saturday in Highlands and you chat about old cars and look at your cool car. He's super active. The usher at the church, right? He still does that. My mother, on the other hand, is going the other way, right? My mother was a pretty active person when she was working, and now she's becoming more and more of a recluse. And because of that, her health, you know, deteriorates rapidly, right? Now my mother's 78 years old, walking around with a walker, right? There might be other issues too, but in general, she's deteriorating because she's not being active, taking care of herself.
In these 5 areas.
You know, in these 5 areas, exactly right.
Yeah, and it's not, so we call it the balanced entrepreneur, but this is a balanced life. I mean, what if you notice, like, how old is Warren Buffett? You know, he's got to be in his 80s, right?
Yeah, he's almost 90. If not.
But like you said, he's retiring in his business. He's still active in his business. I mean, in his 80s, and so that keeps him sharp. In order to be active in his business, I'm sure he's got to keep his mind sharp. So, you know, he's focusing on, he's reading books. He's probably reading a lot about companies because he buys companies.
That's what he does.
In order to be active in his business at 80, he's got to be focusing on his health. So his purpose, maybe his foundation, I mean, whether you like him or not is not relevant. But he's also, he's been married to the same woman. I don't know how he is with his kids. I know he's not, I don't know the relationship with his kids. I know he's not going to leave them much money. I have read that.
Right.
But
that's all relative too, by the way. They get like 10 million bucks or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be okay.
They don't get $1 billion. It's just 10.
Yeah, but at the same time, if Warren Buffett's your dad, I'm relatively sure you should probably already know how to make it on your own.
I should have taught you, yeah. But it's really fun. So, like, you go to this funeral today, and what a great person I was talking about. So then it's like, all right, let's look at myself this summer. What's some family stuff we can do? I was already telling you about the drinks and dinks. Well, last summer we did a lot of pickleball in my own neighborhood, where I bought a pickleball net and we just put a chalk neighborhood, and the girls would invite their friends over and their friends' parents, and we'd kind of have our own little pickleball round robin in our neighborhood, right? Well, that's something fun. That was fun for the kids. It was fun for us. That's something more we can do as I sit here and go into the summer, right? We got some family beach trips planned. That's kind of fun things that I can do about creating memories. One of my daughters is out in Colorado working for the summer. Go out there and see her and then do some exploring in Colorado. I've never been out west during the summertime. That's kind of fun, create a memory, go to Boulder where the University of Colorado is. That's supposed to be a cool town. Supposed to be the ski resorts. You'll take the ski lift to the top and you can hike or mountain bike on the way down. These are fun little things. So I'm making a conscious effort to try to do some fun family things this summer that create some memories.
Yeah, and that's building you really. So, but the words you said, you're making a conscious effort.
Yeah.
So that conscious effort. The point is, you can't have balance if you're not making a conscious effort to have balance.
Yes.
So, balance comes from, is it easy to have balance? That's the next question. So you can focus all your time on your relationships, probably not going to make a lot of money unless you've already accumulated a lot of income.
Right.
There's a lot of
people. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I was going to say, so you talk about, when we talk about that, focus on the money. If you're not making as much money as you want to make, what do you have to do? What's working? What isn't working? Brainstorm ideas for improvement, right? So if you're a business owner, that's our clientele, right? That's people who listen to this show. You're a business owner, you're not making enough money. Well, let's figure out how to fix that, right? What's working? What isn't working? Brainstorm ideas, how to improve that, right? We talk about our little wheel of life is, right? You got to get the foundation. You got to get more leads. Got to get more, I got it right here, sitting right here. Got to get more leads, got to get more transactions from existing clients. You got to convert the people once you get in front of them. You got to get more transactions, get people to buy more often from you, buy bigger packages. You got to get more profits by controlling your profits. So that was our 5 things: leads, conversions, attractions, pricing, and profits, right? So you would say, are you measuring those? Those are great 5 key indicators in a business, right? How many leads am I getting? How many conversions once I get in front of somebody? How many transactions? How much are they buying from me? How big or how often, right? How about my pricing? Have I done anything creative with my pricing? Not just discounting. We talk about bundling, and we talk about our profits. We talked about this. I think one of our podcasts was every quarter you should go through your P&L statement. What are expenses? Anything that I can get rid of? You look at your own credit card bill. I was watching on the, there was an ad that came up the other day, and it's one of those mint.com or financial apps. And it'll actually go through your credit card bills for you and notice the subscriptions and says, do you realize you're still paying, $10 a month for this service? Do you really need it? Do you want us to cancel it for you? And so their claim to fame is that, yeah, it's really cool that a lot of people are on some sort of subscription, $5, $10, $100 a month, and they don't really realize it. And so they claim that they can save you $1,000 a year by going through your credit card bill and asking you, oh, this looks like you get this every single month, right? I just changed my cell phone plan just because of that, right? So my cell phone plan was way up here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you see all these ads for $35 per line, unlimited data. So here I am paying $50 or $60. I got 4, it's like, oh my gosh. Well, now that I'm aware of it, what am I going to do about it? Well, let's go call these people and, hey, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, or whoever, AT&T, who's got the best deal that works for me? And let's save, I think we end up saving like $150 a month.
And that, it's funny.
I had to be conscious of it. I had to know that I was paying it.
And every one of these areas, what we're really talking about is taking and breaking down an area of your life or your business and creating a system, because that's what really business is all about. Is you're creating processes and systems, and each of those processes and systems is broken down into smaller areas, and the smaller and more documented each area is, the easier it is to insert people into the equation. What do I mean by that? Let's say we're just talking about this balanced life as an entrepreneur: money, relationships, purpose, health, and mind. Well, if let's say I want to insert somebody into the equation, why would I want to do that? Well, it might be I need an accountability partner. Maybe I'm not as honest with myself in an area. And so I'm like, look, I want to be accountable, and I want you to ask me about these areas of my life. This is what a mastermind group can do for you. It can put you in a position where you say, it doesn't mean that you're going to be accountable to the whole group necessarily, but you can create an accountability partner inside of a group and say, look, I struggle with money, or I struggle with relationships. I spend all my time making money, and I don't. So you can say, I want you to make me accountable. You can have a friend. But if you don't have a measuring stick, you don't have a process in place to measure, then you're going to end up not being accountable. You're either going to be accountable to yourself, or it's good to be accountable to someone else if you're not accountable to yourself.
No, that's really funny when you were saying that, because you talk about, like we said, already said that before, measuring and being conscious of what you're trying to get and what you're trying to accomplish. We talked about that before with runners. When you start, Peachtree Road Race is a big race here in Atlanta. Actually, I don't even know if they're doing it this year, 4th of July. Now would be the time to start running, planning your 10K run. And then there's a big promotion for a half marathon Thanksgiving, right? Because, oh, you already ran the Peachtree, why not go and run the half marathon? The little Atlanta Track Club will promote you for that. But you got to have the plan to do that, right? Accountability partner. They start these little runner groups, right? These little running. But it was, what reminded me when you were talking was there was some preacher one time I heard this saying, and so here the areas that we're talking about that we're trying to measure, your health and wellness and health and wealth and purpose and relationships, right?
Right.
And somebody said, well, preacher, why do you pray every day? Why do you pray every day? And his joke was, well, I'm like a leaky faucet. I leak every single day. I need to fill it back up. I need to fill it back up. Right? So, we've talked about this several times in the past that every professional athlete that we know of, that you know of, that you respect, has a coach. Not just one, but several of them, the whole team. Any professional musician has a whole team, right? A manager, a promoter, a teacher, right? Every single professional blank, athlete, musician, artist, they all got coaches. They all have accountability partners. They all have someone to help move them along, right? And you've already alluded to this. That's really what a mastermind group is, right? The mastermind group is a support network, bounce ideas off of, hold you accountable, support your growth and prosperity as a balanced entrepreneur, right? And so that's what our mastermind group is. That's what it's for. That's what it's there for. We've talked about this several times. I say it every time, and I love to say it. 3 things to be successful: commitment, roadmap, and support system. Yeah, right. So we have 2 out of the 3. We got the support system and we got the roadmap, right? That's what the mastermind group is. That's what our coaching is. We need your commitment. What do you want to commit it? Are you going to commit to be held accountable? Are you going to commit to be measuring? Are you going to commit to take yourself, your business to the next level? And that's really a great point too, is that this, what we talk about is all the above. I want you to make more money. I want you to take more time off. I want you to pay less in taxes, right? Spend more time with your family, spend more time with your purpose, right? That it's not just about the business, that you as an entrepreneur are all these areas that we're talking about. These are your 5 areas, 6 areas of success, however you want to measure it. They're your areas of success. But you got to have a roadmap and accountability, right? We have that. That's what mastermind groups are for. Got to commit.
I think sometimes that people think it's all about money. There's a lot of people who think it's all about money. And I can tell you that money is just a lonely, people, if all you do is focus on money, it's very lonely. You've got to have balance in your life. And you got to have balance as an entrepreneur. You can't just live your business all the time. It gets old and it'll destroy your life. I mean, it will. And that takes honesty to look at your business and go, is this all there is? I'm trying to think of what movie that was with Jack Nicholson. He's like, is this all there is? And that's what, is this all there is? And so when you got a balance in all these areas, you and I both been married, a long time. I'm 30 years. And so when you're married 30 years, that says a lot about your relationship. You've worked on that. Well, I've been self-employed 29 years. So I've got a balance in those areas, but I've also been overweight for a long time. So that says I don't have balance in that area. You see? Right. So a lot of times you have these areas where you have balance, but other areas where you don't. But if you're measuring them, at least you work on them. You don't beat yourself up because you're not perfect in all areas.
Progress, not perfection. That's right. Yeah. Progress, not perfection.
You can strive for perfection. There's nothing wrong with that, but you want to have progress. You don't have to be perfect, but you at least should strive for it. And that comes with a coach. Just like you said, that comes with a coach, because all athletes got a coach. So,
well, you said it earlier, which is really awesome. It's system and processes, right? And it was like, I remember Tom Brady, he just won the Super Bowl again this year, switching to Tampa. And there was a charity golf thing that was on TV that was him and Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. I think it was the 4 of them, right? And apparently before the round, he's out there, Tom Brady's like running sprints in the parking lot. And Charles Barkley was one of the commentators, like, hey, what are you doing, man? What are you doing out here? And he's like, I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, right? So here this was, I don't know if this was July or August, and he's running sprints in the parking lot before the charity golf outing because he has a plan, a system in place that I got to get to the Super Bowl, which is in whatever, February. And in order to do that, I got to be running X number of sprints in August or July or whatever this was, right? He had a system, he had a process. You mentioned that before. You got to have a system, a process. We've talked about retiring in your business. We talked about selling your business. Well, if you're going to sell your business better be humming along for the next owner. If you want to retire in your business, we always say build it to sell it, even if you're not going to sell it. It means you got systems and processes that you could sell it. But if you have systems and processes and you're only doing your A+ activities, why would you sell it? Because you're having fun doing the stuff that you love to do, that you're good at, that brings you joy and excitement and energy, right? Yeah. But those athletes have a plan, right? So just kind of wrapping this back up, the balanced entrepreneur. I was going to a funeral today, and it was just kind of the areas of life. You have the 5. Mention the 5 again.
Money, relationships, purpose, health, and mind. You can insert, like, money could be work, but Those are the 5 areas. Money,
Yeah, those are the 5 areas, and whatever your 5 are, start paying attention and measuring them, and where are you, and what's working, what isn't working, brainstorming ideas to improve it. The more you measure it, the better results you'll get, the better activities you'll get, the progress, not perfection. You're moving in the right direction, right? We mentioned our mastermind group. That's what our mastermind group is all about, is accountability. It's a roadmap, and there's accountability support group that tied to it. If you want to talk about that, Matt at profitabilitymd.com, Dave at profitabilitymd.com. Our irresistible offer right now is we can find any business owner $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in their business without spending a dollar more on advertising or marketing. We call that a profit accelerator session. Sorry, tongues are tied today. Profit accelerator session. If you want to do that, apply. Matt at ProfitabilityMD, Dave at ProfitabilityMD. We can find that kind of money in your business. Join one of those two, right? If you want to commit and take it to the next level, have a profitability session with us. Have a mastermind session with us, right? Where we want to get you to the next level, right? Those 5 areas, help you improve those all around, because it's really difficult to do it on your own. It's hard to get anywhere on your own. I don't know any professional athlete who does it on their own. No. I don't know any of them. I don't know any successful artist. I don't know any successful person in life who doesn't have a support system and a group. You just got to commit that you want to take your business, your personal life, your entrepreneurial journey to the next level. We can help. We'd love to help. All right, man. This is good stuff.
Well said, Matt. Take care.
All right, man. See you.